Hi guys, welcome to TSP Weekly, the tech startup podcast. This is episode 104. You guys already know, but my name's Steven. This is Amaris. Welcome.
Hey, thanks very much.
This is Darin White and Sam Trieu, Amaris.
It is.
These guys are both with Geek Week, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about Geek Week.
Yeah. What is Geek Week?
Yeah, so it is a festival that is happening September 10th to the 24th in 2016. First year was last year. This is the second year. It is a 10-day kind of encapsulation, a micro capsule of all the cool, geeky, nerdy, passionate things that are happening in Waterloo Region.
And you guys clearly don't know how many days are in a week. That's very obvious.
It's Geek Week-ish.
Yeah, Geek Weeks,
Yep.
sort of. So 10 days. It starts on the 10th. What's happening on the 10th?
That's Maker Expo, which is my event. And we're going to be down at Kitchener City Hall.
Great.
100 makers waiting to engage the public. Last year we had, I think, 7,500 people come down
Wow.
on a Saturday, which was terrific.
Wow.
And we expect even more this year. And people should be prepared to come down and roll up their sleeves and actually do stuff and make stuff with us.
I think Grobo's going to be at that.
Yeah, you were there
We have a
last
booth,
year.
yeah.
Grobo was there
Yeah.
last year. It was awesome to have them
And there's a
there.
lot of other organizations that are at Maker Expo, like
Oh, there's a lot of
Hack
people.
Academy's there. Who else is there?
Yeah, well, all our sponsors are going to be there. UW, Laurier, Conestoga, Communitech, hopefully.
Yep.
Possibly.
Resounding yes.
And NetSuite Waterloo. We're really happy to engage the tech community this year.
Great.
Awesome.
And so what's the next event in the Geek Week?
The 10-day
I
extravaganza.
know
Yeah,
what it is.
for
I know what it
sure.
is, but I thought you could announce it and then
That's a
I'll
memory
do it.
test.
Yeah, no, that is a memory test, and I'm actually going to fail this one because there are about 17 events happening
Wow.
for those 10 days.
Right.
So we've got everything from Nerd Night to Hacker Nest to Tech Jam to start up some beers to Summer Lights music or movie in the park to the Auto Tech Symposium. There's a lot going on for
The
those 10
innovations,
days.
the Waterloo
Waterloo
Summit.
Innovation Summit, yeah.
Waterloo Region doors opens in there as
Yes,
well.
doors
Yep.
open Waterloo Region.
Hack
Yep.
the North.
Back the North, our friends there at UW.
Yeah, so there's
So many words flying around.
17 events. And how do
Words.
people check out, like, how to find that and put that into their calendars? What's the best way to do that?
So individually, each event has its own like Eventbrite or Facebook page, but on the geekweekwr.ca site, there's going to be a listing of all the different events that are happening, as well as a bunch of vendors in downtown Kitchener and uptown Waterloo who are participating as well.
geekwr.ca.
Correct, yes.
I have a big question. Why? Why Geek Week?
The big why question.
42.
Nice.
Like, I mean, there's events that are happening all the time in this region, especially around the geeky side, since this region is very geeky.
Did we just brush over your reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that out there. That
Yeah, we did.
Geeks.
So
that's good stuff.
why is it focused on these weeks?
For sure. So the historical background of this, like all of last year, was that Waterloo Innovation Summit, which was hosted by the University of Waterloo and Communitech, was bringing in a lot of international people across the borders and stuff and overseas.
Okay.
So their goal was to also expose them to what else was happening in the region because they were going to be there for a couple of days. To our surprise and to our joy, there was a lot happening during that week. So we were able to get these attendees from Waterloo Innovation Summit to sample like everything from Waterloo Hacks through to Nerd Night through to Hacker Nest. And that was the genesis of it, was that we initially wanted to solve a problem of how else can we interest these awesome people who are coming into town to talk about innovation in big cities. And then, wow, there is a lot going on in our town, which I feel like because we live in Waterloo Region, we're very not aware of it. Like if you go to other cities close by, 45 minutes, an hour, there's a sense of vibrancy and growth here that is not apparent in a lot of small townships, cities, and the like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that. Again, this is a microcosm, a capsule collection, if you will, of the events that do happen on a quarterly basis or on a biannual basis in Kitchener and Waterloo. And that's the big intent, is that yes, for this 10 days, something is happening, but also this happens all the time.
That's
So-
a great answer to why.
So it sounds like a lot of those events were already happening, and you just kind of repackaged them or packaged them up in this. They were already there. It was just so that these international people could see that, and that's sort of again what's happening. Or are there events that have been added because it's Geek Week?
Yeah, so a little from column A and a little from column
Okay.
B. So we have the one thing I do want to stress is that Geek Week is an umbrella term for all these amazing organic things that are being pushed forward by organizers within the region who are passionate about X, Y, or Z.
Right.
It's not Geek Week is every event we own it. So Communitech, disclaimer, is the one that hosts the website and then puts people towards helping with marketing and costs like that. However, each event is its own entity and its own flavor and personality. So that's one thing that I want to put out.
Yeah.
And then second is the events that happened last year, almost everybody came back, and then the more that kind of spread, the more that people were willing to put events during that time period that they would have instead either had in August or pushed later in the month. So a little bit of that brand is kind of spreading a little bit just because the term geek is so nebulous, but in a good, positive way. So it's a fairly inclusive term in that geek is passion. Passion is equal to you can be nerdy or geeky about everything from fashion to food to drones to rocks to the concept of making. So there's a lot available for a lot of different people.
Yeah, I was given the definition of geek in preparation for this podcast, so that was a very good overview of the definition for sure.
Who gave
So
you
you're
that
like,
definition?
you did, young lady.
I did?
I think so, yeah.
No, that doesn't sound like something I would do.
So you guys are like the MC for the region for all of these people to coalesce around sort of a couple weeks or a week, and then you can show it off to the world. That makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
There's also an internal aspect to that as well, like within the community. I think there are a lot of people that just don't know what's going on, and so
Which is shocking. I find that
I
just
know.
shocking. How did you not know all these events were happening? But yeah, carry on.
well, so I think all of these groups coming together, we kind of share each other's channels, and
Right.
this cross promotion I think can be very powerful, just to get people out and engaged in the community. We all work really hard on our events, and so we have some fractional amount left over to actually promote them. So I think together we do a much better job.
All boats float.
Yeah, well, and the reality is a lot of these events are run by people that have other jobs. These are all passion projects, so you have a job.
Which is to say volunteer,
yeah,
unpaid.
passion
yes.
project.
Yes.
This is our passion
we-
project.
That's a euphemism.
yeah.
for- yes, okay.
So the reality is it's hard to sort of promote your own event through everything. You can't, because a lot of that is going to a bunch of events. But by lumping yourself in part of this Geek Week, there is that cross promotion, but there's also the support from Communitech to sort of promote that out. And when it's a passion project and you're volunteering, you can't always do that.
Yeah, there are very few
Yeah.
organizers, I think, that start and continue to run these type of events, and so it's really important that we know each other as well.
Yeah.
So, and Geek Week has just been an excuse to get together and to have a beer and to meet everyone that's involved.
I met you last year at the Geek Week meet people thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was one
That's
of my favorite kind of organic get-togethers last year.
Yeah.
Was to look around the room and be like, this is like the extraordinary league of like people who give a shit and can get things done.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Well, and you tried to do that again this year. You got some people out, but it's hard when we have jobs
Right.
and we have passion projects and we're planning all these things. And you talked about that. You're on a bunch of committees. It's hard to commit to sort of get out to meet everyone, but hopefully there's a network of people that I know someone, you know someone, together we know them.
And it doesn't all come out of the box at once.
Yeah.
I think, once you get to year 5 of doing Geek Week, I think then the relationships develop over that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. How long can you do Maker Expo?
How long can you do Hacker Nest?
Yeah.
Struggling with that.
Sustainability is a really
Yeah.
it's a really hard thing, and that's something we talk about a lot because people don't realize that we start planning the next one kind of the day after. Well, we all pass out for a month, and then really it's a round the calendar type of job for a one-day event. I don't know how you do it every month, but there's an enormous logistical thing to have happen, to engage makers, to get sponsors, to just wrangle the venue. There's a whole
when
lot
you're
of
doing a
stuff
large
that
scale event,
happens.
that's a big commitment.
And what I was saying to Sam just before the show that a lot of the people that are really good at organizing are already organizing stuff.
Right.
So it's hard to find sort of new people to jump on board with you. Yeah, it's kind of a timing thing, which is why it's good that we kind of know each other. So that if somebody wants to switch gears and to try something else, then they maybe already know me and they say, "Oh, hey, I want to know more about Maker Expo and get involved with that."
Yeah, I've found that actually really helpful for me when I was doing Hacker Nest at the beginning. There's no one else who sort of knows why why would you volunteer your time? There's other people like, why would you do this? But to find other people that are also organizers, to talk to Charlotte of Nerd Night, to talk to Joanna of Hackademy, and I mean, there's a bunch of other people that to just sort of go, oh yeah, that sucks sometimes. Like, we do this because we care, we do this because we love it, but I get it, it's tired. To have someone else to sort of validate that, so.
And is the goal to sort of mentor somebody then, to pass it off to the next generation at some point?
I would love to do that. Really, it's to share the load. I think, we have 10 people right now organizing, and we need more people. How I could really put 10 more organizers to work right now. But we do the best we can with what we've got. You can't be deterred by these things, right? I think that's how we keep going. It's just dogged persistence.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've thought about, so I chair Open Streets in Uptown Waterloo, which is a street festival, and we've noticed that through the years people have kind of come in and out and stuff. But the one thing with events is that we've been name dropping a lot of organizers who have embodied like the heart and soul of that event. Every organization out there wants to be able to train on new, eager people who want to get back into the community. It should never just be Amaris's Hacker Nest or Darin's Maker Expo. It's an entire team of people who are working behind it, and they all want more people to engage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it without, I have a team of 5 other organizers right now. I stand up and talk so people think that I'm doing all the work. I'm not. I organize the venue and they take care of the rest. It's really about a team, and I'm sure that's the same way for your events. That's the same for your events, and I know that's the same for, everyone else I've talked to that runs events. It doesn't really work well when it's on your own, and being around other people that are passionate about it really helps fuel it to go bigger, to be more successful.
These different groups are solving a lot of the same problems too, like sponsorship. You go out for sponsors, I go out for sponsors, Doors Open goes out for sponsors. And if we can share best practices, if we can share contacts even, that lightens the load, you know?
For me, it's the reason why I run Hacker Nest is I sort of saw it as an opportunity to help people. I help people find connections for friendship if they just moved to town and they don't know anyone. I hear about that a lot, that they've become friends because of Hacker Nest. I hear about people getting jobs. I help people with their resumes to get jobs. I connect people so that they can find their next business opportunity.
Help them with their social skills.
You're welcome. But I think that's the reality. I have talked to Charlotte from Nerd Night, and she does sort of for this similar reasons that, she wants to allow people a chance to connect. And I think that's the reality of why you're sort of packaging a lot of these events into Geek Week, is that for some reason people don't know about these events. They should, because there's benefits to that.
Yeah, so to go back to the original question of how far and how long will Geek Week go on for, it's for as long as there's interesting stuff happening in this area. As soon as that dies out, then there's nothing that will carry that umbrella term of Geek Week.
Right, that's fair.
It's still kind of like the dollar store, though, for me. Like, it's Geek Week, but it's not a week. You go into the dollar store, things aren't $1. Like, what if next year it's 3 weeks? Yeah. It's just, you could just put an S on it. Geek Weeks.
That's true. Yep.
This doesn't sound as well. Geeks Weeks?
Geeks Weeks? Geek Weeks?
It's kind of fun to say.
It is kind of fun to say, actually.
We'll put a little asterisk and then 3 lines of text underneath that's mandated by the
Geek Week does not necessarily represent a full week of 7 days.
Exactly.
There have been a lot of efforts in the community over the last 10 or 15 years that have tried to be a sort of a nexus for information about what's happening in the community, and for a variety of reasons they haven't really panned out, or they've kind of died off, and so I think Geek Week is just it's a very pragmatic recognition that, we'll just have to do it ourselves then, right, and just get something going.
Guys, tell us a little bit about, there must have been something that happened that wasn't smooth, wasn't perfect.
Do we want to jump into that? Maybe we want to talk about some successes first?
No, I want to know. Let's talk about what happened that was funny.
Let's steer this train into the fire.
Absolutely. And then we'll talk about some good stuff, right?
Okay. So what are some lessons learned, from last year to this year, including this year?
Earlier planning never hurts.
Yeah, that's true. That could probably be said about every single event. You always have more stuff to do. Yeah.
Are we talking like a year? Or are we talking don't plan it 2 weeks before? Or
were you there?
Yeah, I was.
It's really important to stay on schedule. Like, you can feel like, oh, hey, we're 6 months out. No worries, right? But that 6 months quickly shrinks to 6 weeks, and then panic mode. right? And then you're like, uh-oh.
Are you in panic mode right now?
Did we order the tables? Do we, because we need like 100 tables or something,
Yeah.
I'd say we're in high awareness mode right
Excellent.
now.
All right.
No panic, because we've got a great team,
Okay.
and everybody's covering off a lot of stuff. But we learned last year, very, very practical things like when you rent or borrow tents, sometimes they have holes in them, and then that doesn't necessarily keep out the rain.
Right.
So there's a lot of really
Science, I think.
low-level stuff.
And you lose
happening
your
there.
deposit when you bring the tent back
Yeah.
too, right?
So what's some lessons that you've learned?
For me, it's surround yourself with good people.
Yep.
So a volunteer gig is essentially a job, right? You need executables, you need a strategy, you need people to show up on time and, be dependable.
Yep.
So it's not something that you can assign to folks in your life or in your circle. It has to be something that's, again, organic or
Yep.
something that they're interested and passionate in, because that's how you get results.
One of my favorite words over the last year has been capable, because you can find people that are really passionate, but they may not be capable, or you can find capable people that aren't passionate. You sort of need a combination of both.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you both can understand that with running events.
Yeah, there's just a ton of work, and the best team members which we have are people that you just say, okay, you're on that. I don't have to think about that
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. You don't have to micromanage.
Somebody
Yeah.
is managing that aspect of the show. Great, because one of the things that we realized last year is that we will burn out if we keep going at that speed. And so we're trying to make smart investments of our time. Like you said, we have other stuff going on.
Yep.
We have families, other commitments, and
Yep.
so we want this thing to keep going. So we're trying to do smart spends of our time.
There's a big
that's
difference
fair.
between a volunteer and a voluntold. Just stand there. Now what do you want me to do? Now what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
right.
God.
That's why
Be
I use the
autonomous.
term capable.
Number one, be
man.
autonomous. Do-
Everyone
do
just
stuff.
went through like a flashback right there.
That's why I like capable.
I like capable too.
Yeah. Any other lessons learned we want to talk about, or sort of some mistakes that happened in the past, or that we're not going to throw anyone under the bus, but no?
I think communication is, this
Yeah.
sounds so cliched,
Yeah.
but really communication, we are have this constant Slack stream of consciousness going on among the group right now. Last year we were kind of doing Google Groups type of stuff, and migrated to Slack this year. And one of the things that we found that worked out really well is we connected with the Maker Festival folks in Toronto, who run their event
Yep.
at the Toronto Reference Library in July. And they're friends and so on, but we actually got together with them over at Hack Lab in Toronto to trade best practices. We talked for 4 hours. I think we could have talked for 4 days, and just sort of because we're very much in the same space. And so, partner with people. That's
Well, and that's
good thing
sort
to
of what
do.
I was talking about before, is that having someone else to sort of bounce ideas off of, who's been in that same, that same challenge, that's run an event before to that scale, that goes without saying, that's amazing. Like it helps a huge amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, reaching out, because Hacker Nest has done that as well. They started from Toronto, right? And I know that Hacker Nest, I see all kinds of Hacker Nest Toronto, and that next week
Yeah.
they're doing a job fair in Toronto?
Saturday, actually.
Saturday,
from 1 to 6 p.m. at the Mars Innovation District.
Yeah.
Wow, there
Yes.
it is.
Yes, it's happening.
You throw a
I
softball
think
over the
there's
plate
like
and Sam will
20
hit it.
companies, possibly one of Sam's companies.
You have several companies, I like that.
I think there's about 5 coming from Waterloo Region, and then
Yeah.
there's 35
Yeah.
registered total. They've got something like 2,000 people coming
Yep.
to that, which
Oh,
is
neat.
making my eye twitch just a little.
Yeah. It'll be good.
We're good.
That's awesome.
All good. Yeah.
So-
So yes, talking to other people that do the same thing.
Yeah. So successes?
Successes, yeah. This year, what we saw last year was a lot of passionate makers. As we say, without makers, and this is true of volunteers and sponsors, and if you don't have any of these components, there's no show, right?
Yep.
And we look at the makers, and what we saw were a lot of passionate people that were coming out, were putting on an interactive kind of workshop or activity for people that showed up. And they were totally out of pocket. And so we went, back to our sustainability question.
Yep.
We really need to help these people at least do material cost recovery. And so this year we doubled our sponsorship target.
Fantastic.
And those sponsor dollars are going to fund what we created in
That's
a grant
awesome.
program, right? So we're taking, if we got $5,000, we chop it up into 5 or 10 pieces, and we say, okay, we had people apply and they told us what they were going to do, and then we give them the money and we say, okay, do that. And so
awesome.
we're really interested to see how that works out. But
Huge buy-in there too,
yeah,
right?
there is. It's a recognition of the value that they bring, but it's also, I think, going to enable bigger things that weren't otherwise possible.
Right.
So we're really super grateful to the sponsors.
So are we going to have robot fights then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there is battle bots, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Ravi and his battle bots
Yeah.
are a huge component of the show. There's a rumor that the mayors may be showing up for a rematch. We had the
Sweet.
three mayors battling it out last year, so we'll
Awesome.
see who wins
Are
this
you
year.
going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to have an exosuit. It's going to be electric. It's not diesel.
The hell are you talking about?
Robot
He's going
fighting.
to go in there and fight the little robots.
No, I meant, are you going to Maker Expo?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Me too. So what are some successes in terms of Geek Week that you can talk about?
Amplification was really the big key takeaway for Geek Week, like the festival or the umbrella term, was that we really were trying to hustle on behalf of the organizations and the events that were a part of it, and that's where we come in. That's our value.
Cool.
One of our team members has presented us with an awesome question, I thought. So let's do that now.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks,
that team
Dave.
member.
Yeah. You're like, I did? What did I do? What did I do?
Like, which team member?
Can you, Darin, describe what does geek mean to you? And then we're going to go to Sam and then Amaris as well.
Right. Well, I guess the geeks that I'm most familiar with are makers. People that have got their sleeves rolled up. They might not have a PhD, but they may have very deep knowledge in a particular area, and they're very passionate about pursuing that hands-on making.
Cool.
Awesome. What about
All
you,
right.
Sam?
I would define it as passion and depth. So where you would usually have breadth of experience for something else, I'd say that it is being incredibly interested and willing to share about a topic of your choice. It does not necessarily have to be tech, and that's one thing I'd love to stress.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, it's the third explanation, so mine's kind of roughly the same. Is it someone who's really passionate about something? It may not be what they're actually an expert in, but because they're so passionate, they become an expert, and it's not what they went to school for. It's not tech-focused. It's just something I think of Nerd Night when people talk about their passion for sock monkeys. I'm thinking of Mel Baker, and passion for cows, because they're dairy farmers, that kind of thing. It's just something that you're incredibly passionate about, so you know a lot of things about it. That's my
Have you ever been
definition
cow
of geek.
tipping?
No. We
I
can
don't
talk about
recommend
that.
it.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
What's your definition of geek?
Geek and nerd are really synonymous for me. And I really think of video games, because when I was growing up 700 years ago, you were called a geek or a nerd if you were into tech. So it's really tech focused for me. I totally get the knowledge base and that expertise, because often I go off on a tangent or a rant about something that nobody cares about, and
Yes, you do.
often nobody knows about. So I feel the geek in me quite often.
Quick
And
question.
I'm okay with that.
Are you the Highlander?
I don't know what that is.
Really? I know what that is.
700 years? Really?
The highlighter?
Sword. No.
Highlander.
Yes,
The
there
sword
can
and
be only
the-
one.
Are
That's
you
right.
are you the highlighter?
When you're
Are you the
700 years
highlighter we're
old,
looking for?
your hearing goes. Please speak slowly. Yes, that was one of my favorite movies, actually. Yeah, The Highlander.
One of the things that I want to bring up is that geeking used to mean something bad. It
Yeah.
used to be like
Right.
you wore braces and had what are some of the
Pocket protectors.
Yeah, pocket protectors,
Yeah.
and had a calculator, and your hair was slicked back, and your breath was stinky, and nobody.
I had a calculator
friends,
watch.
and you ate bologna sandwiches. I may be transposing a little bit right now.
Some of those things are totally okay. I think if I saw someone with a pocket protector, I'd be like, dude, that's awesome.
I know, but geeky now is a term that's come back. Nerdy is a term that's come back.
Well, I think in this community, especially because there is so much tech here, that it has made it okay for people to just be really passionate about things. And so when I call my coworkers and friends nerds, I stress really hard, hey, I am not saying this as an insult. I totally respect you, and I think you're awesome because you're a nerd. So, yeah, it's because this community is so tech-focused that it has made it okay that nerds are cool.
Yeah.
Nerds are very in right now. Geeks are very in.
Geek's good.
Geek is good.
This is what it's come to.
That's true. So
Short sentence.
as we wrap up, guys, how can we sort of follow your story? Are you guys on Twitter, or we know the webpage? Again, it was Geek Week, WaterlooRegion.ca.
geekweekwr.ca,
Yep.
and that's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as the wide world web.
So Geek Week WR is on all the other ones. Got it. All right.
Awesome. And do you guys tweet at all? Do you have personal
Do
Twitter
they?
accounts?
Oh yeah, Sam, do you have a Twitter account?
Oh, us as people? What?
Yeah. Well, because you do passion things, so it's your own.
Yeah. So
can't talk today.
I tweet and I Instagram and all that good stuff
Yep.
via my account Strudel. I like food.
People can tweet at you through Strudel then?
Yes, yeah. If they have any questions, comments, they want to meet for a coffee, I'm always down to meet new people.
Cool.
And Darin?
Yeah, I'm Darin the Great on
Yes, you
Twitter.
are.
Yes.
Finally, pleased to meet you.
Putting modesty completely aside, right?
There's so many Darins I meet. And it really saves me time, is what it does. So, well, cool.
Yeah.
So
That might be at the end of 104.
that's it for 104.
Yeah.
We're going to do 105.
Some other time.
We're doing a pivot. That's going to be cool.
We're doing exciting
So
pivots.
stay tuned for that.
We have a meeting on Monday to discuss our pivot.
Yes.
I'm pumped.
A podcast meeting. For myself, Stephen Campbell, Amaris Gerson, Sam Trieu, and Darin White, and of course the Oak and Rumble Boys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all on episode 105.